also a former civil servant, and I worked in the government for over 20 years. And I have learned long ago not to argue with idiots, because they tend to drag you down to their level. And I agree with Wilson. I mean, the whole issue should go public. And I'm a little bit disappointed too, because the turnout of the audience. Last week, actually, we had a similar, it's a seminar on archive, on memory of the world, collective memory. It was held in Admiralty. And I invited, quite a number of friends from the media, about 20 or 30. And eventually, it's only one turnout. It's from the English press, South China Morning Post. The Chinese press, they don't seem to be interested, in issue like this. I don't understand why. They're not. You don't interest them. But anyway, the report the next day, the reporter from South China Morning Post wrote an article on the seminar. We couldn't find it. We couldn't find the articles. It happened that the South China Morning Post has put out more than one edition. I don't know whether you realize that. The article was appear in the first edition, but the article was put out in the second edition. I don't know whether it's a censorship, but we wrote to the South China Morning Post editor, and she said no censorship. Just make room for another more important report. It's second edition of South China Morning Post. That article is disappeared. This is the reality. Yes, I'm an archivist. I'm not an architect. It's funny. The spelling of the two professions spell very, similar. And maybe that's why I was invited. And I remember years ago when I was still the GRS director. We put out advertisement inviting application for assistant archivist, and also turned out quite a field application from the architect. Yes, I think the West Wing, the CGO West Wing, should be put into use as an archival showroom. Now, let me tell you this. Years ago, when the Hong Kong, we have an archive, right? Well, Annalisa, you've been to Kwun Tong, right? That's a new building in Kwun Tong. New is built up in 1997, June. But before that, Hong Kong Archive is located in the Murray Road multi-story car park building. The Murray Road multi-story car park building. And that is the home of our national treasure. But then we were being evicted by the ICAC. Now, because the ICAC, they couldn't get any premises for their operational department. So they want us, they want our premises. And so we have to go. Where? And we were located, or exiled, I would call it, to Tuen Mun. Tuen Mun, that's the Sun Yik refugee camp. During those days, we have so many Vietnamese boat people coming to Hong Kong, and the Sun Yik, there's a large factory building was purchased by the government. It's owned by the government, okay, for the Vietnamese boat people. It was a closed camp. That one is a closed camp. There's so many open camps. That was a closed camp, with iron bars and everything. There's all the windows of that building. And then the boat people expatriated, and the whole building was left vacant. Now, that is the government, thought about it. they might, put it in good use for records. So we moved to Tuen Mun. Okay, but Tuen Mun is very far away. It's not just that it's far away, because the building, the factory building, is located right beside a dangerous factory, a dangerous good warehouse, a category 5, dangerous good. And beside that, there's so many factory building with, pollution and everything. Wow, the water is a miserable scene. So we took some picture and sent it to the legislators. There was a hearing over during that years, and the government eventually agreed. To identify a site downtown. The town. But before that, they insisted that Tuen Mun Archive building is the ideal location for an archive, because it's linked by LRT and very convenient. But of course, the RAS, the Royal Asiatic Society during that time, I think and the patron is the governor, right? And so there was a big outcry and there's protests, and there was a protest letter signed by the 7 vice chancellor of the university, to the government. That was when the government yielded to this, and in order to pacify this outcry, a site in Kowloon was located. Not right beside the museum, Tsim Sha Tsui, but in Kowloon, in Kwun Tong. And used to be another industrial area. But in order to, again, pacify, those RAS user, academic, they identify another premises in the West Wing. Actually, the ground floor and the second floor of the West Wing, as a town reading center, saying that, the town reading center, because you're complaining about the distance, right? All right, so I have a town reading center, come here. If you want anything, I can have the record shipped from Kwun Tong. Now this is ridiculous, actually. You can't have archive shipped, to and fro, because the humidity and everything. It's very dangerous to the archive. But of course, they're trying to pacify this protest. So a town reading center was actually put up in the ground floor and the second floor of the West Wing CGO. It has been there for about 2 years. So I think we can do the same now. The West Wing can be venerated and turn out to be a